Hey there, I'm Brittni Schroeder, and business and marketing are my jam. I'm here to walk you step by step through this crazy thing we call business. I'm a small town girl, chocolate eating, Diet Coke drinking mom, marketing guru, automation Jedi, and all around good time. This is your weekly dose of all things business and life, sprinkled with some fun. This is the Redefined Business Podcast. Welcome to another episode of Redefined Business Podcast. I'm so excited for my guest. I met Gina. She asked me to be on her podcast, and then she's living the dream, and she's been traveling the world and jet setting, and she's back. And so we had to get together again and collab. So welcome, Gina from Revitalized Womanhood. Welcome to the podcast, Gina.
Thank you so much. I'm so excited to be here and chat with you. I'm so happy to have you in Utah now.
I know. I'm so excited. We were just saying we need to get together. There's like so many, maybe it's like my circle, but I feel like there's so many amazing female entrepreneurs in Utah. I don't know if we like breed them here. I don't know, but there is just some like amazing girl bosses in Utah. So
there are some rock stars from Utah. It's crazy.
Yeah. It's awesome. Well, Gina, tell my listeners just a little bit about you and what you do and your business and all the things.
Oh my goodness. This is the funniest question because I have to ask this to everybody that comes on my podcast. And it's like, you're kind of like, oh, where do I begin? Where do you begin? I feel like I have just one of those lives that's just gone from one thing to another, to another, to another. Like so many of us, so many women, we wear so many different hats. But I am the travel mama from Pure Imperfection on Instagram. I started that Instagram, Pure Imperfection, to kind of debunk this idea of perfect, right? The perfect house, the perfect kitchen, the perfect everything, the perfect blah, 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 blah that we all see on social media. And I'm like, no, pure imperfection. Let's just embrace the imperfections and just love that about ourselves. So that's where it all started. And that was so many years ago. 2017, my husband and I left the country with our two little boys, and we just decided to up and go and travel around the world until we were long-term traveling until 2019, December of 2019. We came home to specifically get pregnant, and then COVID hit. So wham, bam, all of us, like kind of the same shock from that, whiplash, right? And then we still kept traveling after that. As soon as we could, we left and kept traveling some more. But there was something in me, and it had been just this journey that was so weird. And when I became mindful of the fact that something was happening to me after having this newest little gap baby 6 years after my others, and having it be traumatically different than my other two pregnancies and deliveries, and not to mention with COVID on top of that, right? The whole thing was just like drama, into an emergency C-section and postpartum depression. Like, what? This is so new to me. All of this is so new to me. So after that, I'm kind of in this place of rediscovery, like we all probably are after we have babies, right? Rediscovery and trying to figure out what it is, my purpose, my place in this world. There's more. I kept feeling like there was more to me than being this mama to these boys and this wife to this man. And there was just more to me. I've always felt like that I had this big plan for me. I just didn't quite know what it was yet. And then in July of 2022, my husband was hunting with his buddy, Ryan Mickler, in Hawaii. They were deer hunting in Hawaii on this remote little island, and came up with the idea to create a women's community that was a kind of a mirror image sister company to his men's community, which is wildly successful men's community. He's been doing that now for 9 years. It's called Order of Man. And they came to me and said, would you like to start this community and this podcast? And at the time, ladies, I tell you what, I didn't even know what a podcast was. And here I am. I'm like, you betcha. But there wasn't even like a doubt in my heart or my mind. It was, do you want to lead a women's movement and this new concept of womanhood and be the face of it? And I was like, hell yes. It wasn't like it was a yes, you betcha, I'm on board. And the rest is history. I am the podcast host of the Revitalized Womanhood podcast and the creator of the Revitalized Womanhood movement. And my private coaching community inside all of that is called Revitalized Sisterhood.
Okay, awesome. Tell us a little bit about that community and your podcast and what do you do in there? Like, what is it about?
Oh my gosh. I have had such an awakening as of January 1st. I think everybody, is it just me or does everybody feel like this is the year of just like mind blowing realization, revolution in our lives? I don't know. Maybe it's just me, but a switch flipped in January for me that I was even before. So now I've had this podcast in this community since 2022, right? And so as of January, something happened that I was like, you know what? I kind of feel like I've been doing a disservice to my listeners, I've been this woman who is kind of in this box, this kind of expectations of what womanhood is supposed to be and what the society expects Gina to be and what my husband expects Gina to be, all these kind of things, which is hard for me because my claim to fame is authentic, genuine, right? I will turn the camera right now and you can see the pile of laundry on my bed. And I have no problem with that. That is my claim to fame. But on the other hand, I am this person who I think it all started when I went on a girls' trip last June, but I just felt like I was just Gina. I wasn't a mom. I wasn't a wife. It was that woman who doesn't get to come out very often, like that happens for so many women, so many of us. She got to come out and she was so fun and she was so vibrant and she was so energetic and all of these things. And I'm like, wait a minute, where have you been? And this is what I've been coaching to these women in this community. And so it was interesting that along this journey with them, starting it back at the community open, my private coaching community opened in October. And I kind of jumped in with both feet with them. Like they trusted me, I trusted them, and we've kind of been on this journey together. So what it is basically is creating lives full of purpose and impact. And what does that mean? That means being intentional with the choices you're making every day, being mindful about the fact that there is happiness and joyful moments spread out all over throughout our day. And they are just the tiniest little things that usually get overlooked. So it's about stopping, being present, and realizing that happiness is just scattered everywhere. And all we have to do is look for it, even in the toys scattered all over the floor. That happiness is in those toys scattered all over the floor. Because if you think about it, that's childhood. That is the moments that you should be appreciating, even though most of us are like, the clutter,
Yeah. Well, and I think, and I know it's like super cliche. I just had my son just left on a week ago, Monday, to Brazil for 2 years. And I know it's so cliche, but I'm like, it goes by so fast. Like it's so fast. And, like, that's one, not that I have regrets. I try not to go to the past, but I do feel like, oh, I wish I would have savored it a little bit more. And you know my story, that I've lost, my son passed away when he was 14. And, that was one of the things where I'm like, oh, I wish I would have, like you just don't know. And it's just like, I wish I would have savored it more. But so I think it's just, like enjoying the journey and understanding, the journey. But when you're in it, you can't really, like, you don't see that. It's like hindsight's 2020, and it's like, I can sit and tell my 15-year-old daughter, like, you need to do this. Your life will be better if you do this, but she has to experience it to look back and recognize that, certain things. But one of the things that you said when, like enjoying the little moments that I've been thinking a lot about, I've been saying on my bucket list that I'm going to write a book forever. And I've kind of just been thinking about the things. And one of the topics I was recently just kind of like thinking about is like gratitude. And, I think that I'm very resilient. I think I have a lot of resilience. And I think one of the reasons why is because I think that I have gratitude. Like, I think for me, it feels like innate. Like, I just am like grateful, like, oh, I'm so blessed. I have all these things. And so, but I've had friends say to me before, like, you know, that like not everybody's like that. You know that some people that doesn't come naturally. So like what are your thoughts on that? And how do we if it isn't innate, if we don't naturally have that like gratitude, how is it something that we like develop if we don't, you know?
It's a habit. It's so funny that you said that. We just were talking about this in my community. We were talking about gratitude because it was brought up. So in my community, I have all walks of life, all shapes and sizes. I have a 78-year-old down to a 20-year-old and everything in between, single, married, divorced, all the things, different religions. And we all have such a supportive, it's unbelievable. The group, I say it all the time. Like, I am so blessed to have had all of these women find me and get to spend this time with them. But really, it's like you're saying, it's these people, these women who want to have this exact directive, right? In your life, like living by a certain set of rules, gratitude, mindfulness, intentionality, accountability. That's a huge one. So that's interesting. You brought up gratitude. So what I was saying is this 78-year-old, she's amazing, brought up this concern she had. And she said, it was so interesting to me because, of course, this is March. I don't know when this is going to air, but right now, this is March. It's Women in History Month. So we are diving into Women in History Month. And I've taken it one step further to be the women who tell our stories, right? And talking about all of these women that came before us and kind of like what's been passed on to us and what do we want to pass on or what do we not want to pass on? What do we want to break? And she was talking about these women in her Bible study group that are about my age-ish range. And she says it was so amazing to me how the common vibe in there is that they're so put upon as mothers, that motherhood is so hard and that life is so hard for them and things are just right. And we said, it's because of the lack of gratitude. It's because of the unwillingness to stand up and take ownership of your decisions that you make in your life and say, hey, this wasn't just put upon me. Like, I'm not the Virgin Mary here. A baby didn't just show up in my belly. I made a decision to do this. This journey is mine. Take ownership of the decision that you made and own it, and then be accountable for it. And if you are somewhere in your journey where you're not happy or something's not right, then fix it. Figure out a way to fix it. And a lot of times there are mental health issues that you can't really get around. But if you're saying to yourself enough, or if someone's pointing out to you enough that there is a problem, seek help. There's places you can go to get tools to deal with that. But also it's back to what I said about being mindful and being able to slow down in your day, not even just your life, because it starts with habits, right? Small things done each day consistently. So it's like slow down in your day and be mindful of the things in your life that you have gratitude for, that bring joy to you. Like mine, I have a tool in my community that if anybody's welcome to have it, reach out to me on Instagram. I will send you the printable. It's fine. And it's called a happiness tracker. And it's basically the concept is you wake up in the morning and you write down every single thing that when it happens to you, you kind of feel joy or you smile, you catch yourself smiling, right? Mine is I get up an hour before everybody in my house and make my cup of coffee and I make it just the way I want it. I mean, I have my whole little routine. It's like a little ritual. And then I get to sit in my bed by myself for like a half hour with nobody bothering me. I can play on Instagram. I can get on Netflix. I can sit in silence. I can read a book, whatever. That's my time. That is my me time. That is just like, but to someone else, that's like, I get up, I get my coffee, right? And then my next thing is I put on a cute outfit to go to the gym. I love putting on a cute outfit to go to the gym. It makes me feel so good. It makes me excited to go to the gym. That brings me joy, right? So it's these little things that in a normal busy mom life day would get missed as happiness. That's not happiness. That's just ticking off the boxes to get things done, right?
Yeah.
No,
Yeah.
it's not. And that's like what you're saying. It's finding those moments and being grateful for the toys all over the floor, for the laundry pile, for the, we've been to over 60, I think we're at 60 countries. And I'll tell you what, not a one had a dishwasher. Not a one. I think we've stayed in over 80 stays. None of them had a dishwasher. Barely any had a dryer. And that's their way of life. That's just normal, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Simple pleasures. That's why I do that at the end of my podcast, because that's something that my friend and I used to do when we lived in El Paso is we would say simple pleasure. And we started this where we would go back and forth to each other and say, oh, simple pleasure when like your house is clean, or simple pleasure when you had a good workout. And so I think it's just like seeing those little things. Another thing that you kind of talked about that I wanted to touch on is the community, and I think a lot of times we feel very isolated as moms, as business owners. We don't know. And the more community we have, the more resources we have. Or, maybe you didn't know that there was a resource out there that could help you with whatever you're struggling with. And so it's just having that community and being able to talk to people. And sometimes that's all we need is just to talk it out. And to have somebody who has empathy and can relate and comfort you and support you. And so I love just that, like a rising tides lifts all ships. Like we are in the trenches together. We're here to help each other. We're here to support each other. And when we can find that community, it really is just such a gift.
Absolutely. That's my podcast. That's kind of my mission with my podcast is all women. When I first got into this, I was instructed to have a very specific, and it's not his fault because he wanted it to be successful, right? And to him, a man, successful means you got to get the A-list people, these women who are these known authors and whatever, entrepreneurs or whatever. Great. I love them because they're amazing and their story is amazing. I want to talk to all women. I don't care where you come from. I've interviewed my mother. She was one of 6 kids, the oldest of 6 kids, and had to basically raise all of her siblings on a farm because my grandma got cancer. She had to make her own clothes. She had to grow all her own food. And now she's got 8 kids. And it's like, she has so many life lessons to pass on. It's just like this month, the women in history, the women that tell our stories. She has so much knowledge that she can pass on that it's unbelievable. Why wouldn't I share that? Women who have had miscarriages and what that looked like for them, women who have struggled with postpartum depression and what that looked like to them. Because if we are all able to share these stories, if we are brave enough to share our stories, then someone else out there maybe won't suffer alone because they will find the commonality and they will say, oh, we are not that unique. We're not. Everybody thinks they are so unique. And let me tell you what, the women in Italy are fighting with their husbands, yelling at their kids. They're doing the exact same thing on Thursday night that we're doing here. It's not a unique, isolated thing for us, even though we feel that way. But if we can get more people talking about all the things, then it's like, oh, there are more people out here that can support me in this.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think too, sometimes we look at people who are in like the public eye or the spotlight and we think they're unrelatable. Like how you had said, like that they were like, get these like big name people and these super successful people. But sometimes people, and again, it's a mindset, they feel like, oh, I can't relate to them. Their life is just so luxurious, or their life is just, they don't get it. But we can relate to everybody, and it's just finding that community and finding those people. So I love that. I love that thought. So, well, Gina, tell my listeners how that they can work with you or be a part of this awesome community.
Oh my gosh. If you have any questions, Revitalized Womanhood is the theme. You can go anywhere for that. You can go to YouTube. You can go to our website. The biggest thing that I would encourage you to do is go to revitalizedwomanhood.com. And the first pop-up is it prompts you to put in your name and your email. And it's a free 30-day email series. It's called 4 Weeks to a Fresh Start. And especially if you're feeling stuck in your life, like maybe stagnant, if you're feeling like you're made for more, like me, but you just don't know, you kind of have this like, maybe I want to try something else. Or if you want baby steps into 90-day goal setting, which is incredible for slowing down and managing your time better, right? The goal setting is always a good thing. But anyway, it's a free 30-day email series. Go sign up for that. And it's like an email comes every day that walks you through these simple steps of why it's important to manage your time, set goals, be part of community in a girl gang, have your ride or dies, right? And that's one of my favorite tools I have.
Awesome. And we'll put that in the show notes so you can grab that. So, well, Gina, I like to end all of my episodes with asking my guests one pet peeve and one simple pleasure. So what is your pet peeve?
Oh my gosh. I have so many. If you guys come over to my podcast, my Tuesday episode is with my guests and my Friday episode is just like the wild ramblings that happen in my head. And I get on soapboxes quite often. So my pet peeve, I will tell you right now.
Let's hear it. Let's hear it.
My pet peeve right now is women who say they support women, but then they don't actually support women, right? The people that you're like, okay, you support women, help me out. And then they're like, pay for my expensive course. Or, you know what I mean? It's like, I just had a question. I get paying for courses. I'm not going to bash on that. We all have it. You have to pay to play and you got to have skin in the game. Otherwise you don't do it. But, you know, it's this whole mentality of I support women, but then you meet them and you're like, you kind of don't though.
Yeah. You're just in it to make money. Yeah. Yeah.
Right.
I totally get that. Okay. So what's a simple pleasure?
Oh my gosh. Did I just go through them? My simple pleasures, like making coffee. And actually I'll take this further. I have now learned how to make coffee in so many different countries. It's bizarre. I have to learn how to use a washing machine in a different language. Thank the Lord for Google Lens. They invented that. And I'm like, my life is so much easier all of a sudden. But making coffee, waking up and having to actually figure out how to make coffee in another country is just, it's so fun.
That's fun. That's awesome. I love it. Well, check out Gina, check out all of her stuff, and we'll put that stuff in the show notes. Gina, thank you so much. It was so good to catch up with you.
Thank you. You too.
Let's not stop the party here. Head on over to my Instagram or Facebook group, Redefine Your Business, and let me know your thoughts about today's show. I will see you again, same time, same place, next week.